Well, what is everyone talking about today here on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network? I don't know about everyone, but I'm Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani, and I know what we are going to talk about today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. First, though, before we get to that, Debbie, good morning. You look terrific as always.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. I was just so excited about yesterday's launch. We had so many calls come in, and we heard from our listeners that they really loved the show and looking forward. So I am as well. This is a great day.
How do we view? That's what we're going to discuss here on the program today. And you get to be a part of it as you do every day. All you have to do is go to your phone and call us on our toll-free line, 1-800-585-9396, 1-800-585-9396. Now, what are we going to be talking about? Well, here are some things that might be on your mind or heart that you'd like to share your takes on here today. Do you find yourself getting caught up in a this or that celebrity talk or gossip? Maybe you're in the grocery store line where they just accost you with those magazines. Debbie, you know what I'm talking about, and you just can't help but you're reading the headlines and going, oh, really, is that happening? Did he do that? Did she do that? Do we get caught up in that? Or, Debbie, things like reality TV shows and entertainment shows, or maybe, Debbie, we look to a singer or an athlete or a movie star and just really try and model our lives after that person because maybe we're a little discontent with ourselves. So these are some of the things that our and join us and talk about today.
So how we view celebrities, that's what we're talking about today, this unhealthy fascination with the celebrity status. So if you have an opinion on this, if you've had an experience, if maybe you've overcome this maybe unhealthy fascination with celebrities, give us a call and share with us so we can all learn at 1-800-585-9396.
You know what I think is something else that's really important here to talk about? We want parents, we want to hear your takes on you help your kids stay grounded in who they are as opposed to wanting to be like this or that singer or movie star. You know, they all want to wear the same fashions and makeup and have the same gizmos and gadgets. And, you know, it's not bad to emulate others outside of ourselves. It's a good thing, Debbie, to have role models. We can talk about this. But you mentioned a key word, Debbie, unhealthy. When we get this unhealthy fascination with celebrities and people outside of ourselves, it could be a dangerous thing for us.
Well, and Jerry, I think it's very difficult in this day and age. You talked about the magazines that are at the grocery checkout stands. They're everywhere. The reality TV shows are just swarming all over our network. It's unbelievable. So it's around us continuously. We do have to make a conscious effort to fight against it. I think it's actually quite easy to fall into an unhealthy fascination with this celebrity status. But I think for us, as Catholic Christians, it's vitally important that we stay aware and stay conscious and it's affecting our children. So this is a great conversation. I'm excited to get started.
Our phone number, 1-800-585-9396. Weigh in with your takes here. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN. Phone number again, 1-800-585-9396. Debbie and I have plenty that we can talk about regarding this topic, but you really help to drive the show, so we hope that we will hear from you here on the day. Debbie, you know, I think a very general question we need to address is, you know, kind of the why of this whole thing. You know, why is it that we get so, I think, preoccupied and caught up in other people's lives, especially when they're rich or they're famous or they're held out in front of us in a very public way? There's something, what is it? Is it in human nature that we just are fascinated with them and in many ways want to be like them?
Well, there's different theories that are floating out there, Jerry. Some are saying that it's because we like to have a distraction from our own reality, our own stressful lives, and to kind of live in this make-believe world with the celebrities. It allows us to forget about our own concrete things that are happening at home. The other theory is that with a just rise in secularism, there's less of a need, unfortunately, for, you know, traditional religious worship forms, and to the human nature is that you do want to still something bigger. So belonging to Hollywood is something bigger. I guess that's going to be the replacement, sadly, for what we know as religion. That's really sad to me. But this is why this discussion is so important. And Take Two is here to you're we need to hear from you. But Jerry, I also would like to share how this even got started, why we even came up with this topic about celebrity fascinations.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, just about the whole Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, when you read online about the statistics of what happened when Bruce Jenner did his interview at the end of April with Diane Sawyer, I mean, 16.9 million people tuned in to view that interview. 16.9 million people watched that interview. And then when Bruce Jenner changed his name to Jenner, the Twitter account broke all records. There was 1 million followers in 4 hours. And the new Caitlyn Jenner Facebook now has over 900,000 likes. So there's obviously an unhealthy, absolute obsession with this kind of media, and it does deserve a discussion and a second look at it, so that we can, arm ourselves and to help our children to really seek out, positive role models that are really Christian role models. So that's why this discussion got started, and we hope you join in. The phone lines are lighting up. That's great to see, and we're excited to get to you. So jump in at 1-800-585-9396.
Debbie makes a great point, too, and that is we should have role models. And what do we call them, Debbie, in the church? We call them saints. We call them even living people. We look at Pope Francis, and when Mother Teresa was alive, it didn't take her dying and going to heaven and being named a blessed for us to look up to her as a role model. My goodness, she was as beautiful and holy a role model as there could be. Our parents are role models. Our siblings can be, our co-workers. So what Debbie and I are talking about today, it's not a condemnation of looking outside of ourselves for inspiration, for encouragement, for motivation, for role models, things like that. But when you look at the lives of so many of these celebrities on TV, and of course Bruce Jenner, I will not call Bruce Caitlyn, Debbie. I'm sorry. I know you did, and I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying simply because, and I believe you'd agree here, I mean, Bruce is Bruce, okay? God made Bruce a Bruce, not a Caitlyn. So I don't know. That's just my take on that. But
no, I totally understand. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no,
so
I get it. It's a difficult situation. I mean, how do you address him,
Yeah.
He wants to be addressed as a female, and yet it's really sad. It's very sad.
And behind a lot of what the celebrities do and how they look and how they act and the songs they sing and performances they do, this is something, Debbie, we have to address as well. There are a lot of handlers behind them. There are people who are making money off of them. Let's face it. Look at the money that Bruce Jenner has generated by going through this very sad and tragic gender transformation, if you can call it that. And so we have to realize that sometimes people are being led around, Debbie, and they like the glitz and glamour for a while, but there has to come a point when they have to ask themselves, what in the world are they into?
Yeah, no, I agree. Although I will tell you that the new docuseries that Bruce Jenner / Caitlyn Jenner is going to be embarking on, he's going to $6.4 million from the new docuseries. So that's another thing that he'll be I guess, monetarily benefiting from. But Jerry, you said something that kind of gave me some renewed hope. We talked about Pope Francis. Well, here's some encouraging news. Pope Francis on his Facebook has 1,600,000 likes. So that's encouraging. That's exciting. That gives me hope that Pope Francis is going strong. So he's definitely a popular Holy Father, and how awesome is that he's our role model. So
he's making a run for Bruce Jenner, is what you're saying.
yeah, he's doing great. He's hanging in there.
It's Take Two with EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We'll get a short break right now, and when we come back, we will get to your phone calls. There are plenty of you on the line and room for a couple of more. How do we view celebrities? How do we respond when they do things that are in the news and kind of we're bombarded by all of this stuff? Give us a call. Let us hear your take on this at 1-800-585-9396.
Natural family planning is truly life-giving. After being encouraged to use NFP, my husband and I became increasingly hopeful that God would bless us with more children. We are so thankful that God, through NFP, helped us to do so. We love our officer, our professional organist, and our religious sister. How grateful we are for natural.
To join Human Life International in this discussion, visit truthandcharityforum.org.
I kind of blamed the Catholic Church why I didn't get it before, but I was so wrong. I've come to realize that it was through the 12 years of Catholic education that I recognized God when he came into my life. And I want to really encourage EWTN, that you get sense.
EWTN's listener comment line. It's open now. Call 205-795-5773.
And we give you the toll-free phone number. You can join us, 1-800-585-9396. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN. You can connect with us and share your takes in a number of different other ways as well. Email us. It's very simple. Take, and then the number 2, take2 at EWTN.com. Follow us on our website. You can comment on the site at take2show.com, and Twitter is a good way to let us hear from you as well, at Take2Show. Of course, our audio archives are on SoundCloud. We're on Facebook, so we'll tell you more about that as the program goes along. But if you'd like to join us live on the air, it's 1-855-9396. Debbie and I are pleased to welcome Allie in Buffalo, New York as our first caller today. Allie, good morning or afternoon for you. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing
Good,
great.
thank you.
I'm calling because I was listening to what you were saying about Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner, and I couldn't help but think about how celebrities are starting to play a huge role in not just public opinion, but also influencing public policy. And, like, for example, I've seen so many celebrities like Oprah or Eva Longoria support a candidate, and then all of a sudden, people for some reason want to vote for them because they don't want to do their own research. And I can't help but wonder, I was wondering what your take is on this. Do you think that this surge in popularity of learning about Bruce or Caitlyn Jenner, is going to influence politics and laws that could be possibly put in place about transgender individuals?
Allie, you make an excellent point because as you were speaking, I was thinking of Oprah Winfrey and her endorsement of Barack Obama, and that's why they credit her for influencing the voters. She has 10 million likes on her Facebook. 10 million people are following Oprah Winfrey. So, yes, as a matter of fact, I mean, as you can see, as when we go into these elections, how many of the politicians use celebrities to really advance their cause, and celebrities have crossed over into that political realm, and they're making statements, and they're really using their celebrity influence in order to influence voters. I think it's very sad because we have given away our rights for exactly what you just said, Allie, about using our own mind research and doing our own due diligence about how we feel about things and how we really need to explore every avenue before we make a decision or cast our vote, but we're giving it away to celebrities. It is really sad. You make an excellent point. I want to just kind of throw it back to you, though, and say, what can we do to educate people to take the power back into our own hands?
Well, I think Catholic radio has been an amazing tool. We need to not be afraid to stand up for what we believe in. I think that so many Catholics, myself included, we want to make sure that we do things charitably. We speak out in a charitable way. I think that's extremely important. Otherwise, our message is going to fall upon deaf ears. But we can't be afraid to speak up and speak the truth and say what we believe. Because if we truly believe that it's the truth, which it is, it will prevail. And just like Jesus said, they persecuted me, you also. That's a risk we have to be willing to take.
Great call, Allie. Thanks for getting us started on the calls on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank
Allie
you.
is listening on the Station of the Cross. Our phone number 1-585-9396. How do we view celebrities? And we're branching out, of course, into the influence that many of them have as well right now. And Debbie, I guess it only makes sense that if people want to be like them or kind of make them their role models, if you will, it makes perfect sense that they would want to vote like them and influence the culture in the ways that they do.
Absolutely. Well, and I love what Allie had to say, though. We do have to come from we do have to be a model Christian. We do have to speak the right words, walk the walk, talk the talk. And I couldn't agree more. I think she gave some great insight on how we can take back and really start us as Catholic Christians being the leaders, not having these celebrities be the leaders. So that was a great call. I'm so happy she called in.
Absolutely. We're going to go next to Laura, who is in Oregon City, listening on looks like Sirius XM 130. Laura, thank you. Laura, thank you for your phone call.
Okay. Yes, I was, telling the person that took my call that there is a video surfing on the net about this Korean girl, and she's very upset, that women are suppressed in Korea. But one thing that caught my attention was that she was almost crying because she says, there was no movies. We can't watch any love movies, any Hollywood movies that, like if that's an important thing for her. She was like crying. But, I don't think that's right because when I see like the Batman movie, the actor, he, a lot of people, some young people took the wrong message and then they kind of copy something about the movie, and then they went to this movie theater and killed all these people. Some of the actors that are in those movies, they believe they take that, role, and they in the daily life like that. And to me, I don't watch a lot of movies. I really screen what I watch. And one movie, it was a documentary on, the movie is called I Am. He was the director and person that made famous Jim Carrey and Robert Williams, and he had an accident and he couldn't, he wouldn't heal. So he started searching for meaning in his life, and then he said, this documentary is really good, and it says, I went from living in a small house to a bigger house Hollywood, and I wasn't happier. There was something missing in my life, and it was God. It was something else, searching, helping people, doing other stuff. And, I really recommend that. And there were more movies like that, yeah. But a lot of the girls, some girls, and what do you want to be when you grow up? And they said, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to be in a Disney movie. Really, they're going into this. Some of the girls they want to be a star, and they don't really have nothing, the spiritual life, and that's why it bothers me.
Well, Laura, you make some great points there. Debbie, so much that we could talk about there. One of the things that Laura mentioned is the sort of, and we haven't talked about this, we talk about the influence and the whole prevalence of celebrities in our country, Debbie, but it gets exported as well. Here's this young girl in South Korea who is upset and distraught because she doesn't have the same movies to watch and this of cultural things that we do in this country, and it's not always necessarily something that someone should aspire to or long for, Debbie.
No, I agree. And Laura brings up some great points about young girls searching out for these idealistic, lifestyles and stuff. This all comes back to, Jerry, a person's own self-esteem, their own love for themselves, their own self-worth. So many girls, we see it today. We see so many young women trying to be somebody else. I hear it all the time. I wish I could look like you. I wish I could be like I wish I had your hair. I wish I had your clothes. I mean, it's always I'm wishing for something else. And that's a whole nother show, Jerry, that I think we should tackle is this whole idea of self-worth and self-esteem and growing oneself. And we were made in the image and likeness of God. And for these young girls to realize that early on, seek out their own purpose, their own God-given purpose in life, not live somebody else's. That's what everybody's doing. They're living somebody else's life.
I call it, Debbie, I have for many years, being desperate for an identity.
Yes.
And what I mean, yeah, you know what I mean by that. And maybe you, our listeners, and you'd like to call in and comment and give us your takes on this at 1-800-585-9396. But I guess, Debbie, more in my attention as I go about my day-to-day life is not so much the young girls, but you see the boys, they all want to have this unique look, and yet they try and achieve that unique look by looking like everybody else.
Right.
The backward baseball cap, the pants, the jeans down to where, it's an awful look, really. But it's, Debbie, it's a seeking after, I think, affirmation and true affection and the true self-worth that you were talking about. And so you're absolutely right, Debbie. That will most definitely be the subject of a show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, at some point down the road. For your call from Oregon City. Don't forget, you've got 88.3 FM Mater Dei radio that you can tune into as well. And that's where Jeannie Ray is joining us from Portland, Oregon. Jeannie Ray, you are on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you this morning? Jeannie Ray, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear my name. I was thinking, gosh, who's the other person calling from Mater Dei? Yes, I am here. Thank you, dear. I beg your pardon. I'm calling in because I'm a performing artist, Jeannie Ray, row 2. I belong to probably most of the unions that those who are on those magazine covers and our celebrities belong to. I'm a member of SAG, that's Screen Actors Guild. I'm a member of Actors, that's Broadway shows and stuff like that. I'm a member of American Federation of Musicians local in New York and in Portland, and then I'm a member of AGVA, American Guild of Variety Artists, the New York local. We have a Hollywood local too, but I'm New York. I want to say, celebrities, man, I am so strong and firm about this. I'm not a celebrity, but I am a performing artist. We have such a tremendous responsibility because people look up to us for whatever reasons. And I'll never forget, I'll give a good example. I'm a professional dancer also, mostly years before. But I remember performing with in a line of 10 girls at the Oregon State Fair with Dennis Day. He was the headliner, and I don't know that a lot of the younger people will remember him. May he rest in peace. The Angels already took him. But he was a phenomenal tenor, and he used to be on the TV show with Chuck Benny. On Sunday, when, of course, we went to Mass, and 2 of my sisters and I danced in the line of 10. There at St. Joseph's in Salem, Oregon, bingo, there he was. Quiet, he wasn't making a show or anything, and he was at Mass, honoring and worshiping the Lord. I will never forget that. And of course, my sisters, we will never miss Mass. I will never miss Mass. But look at that example. And all the people that would see him and recognize him, that's what celebrities need to do, is give.
Let me jump in here. We got a break coming up here in less than a minute, so I apologize for that. We can continue this on the other side of the break, though, because you are saying so much that I think that is important for our listeners. And one thing I definitely, Debbie, want to talk about on the other side of the break is really the responsibility that God has placed upon celebrities and sports stars and these others they're in the public eye, and they are being watched, and they are influencing others. Talked about that yet, the responsibility that has been placed on them. I remember a few Charles Barkley, the great basketball player, filmed that commercial, said, "I am not a role model." Well, those who are in the public eye are role models. We can talk about that and more here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Our phone number is 1-800-585-9396. We've got a line wide open waiting for you to join us right now.
Hear what others are saying about listening to EWTN.
I I just wanted to call in. I've been listening for a year now. I converted to Catholicism about a year and a half ago, and this radio station has just been so instrumental. I drive around all day working from my car in sales, and I just can't get enough of it, and it helps inspire me. Just walk the walk every day, so thank you for that.
Listen daily to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
The EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
By watching EWTN, by listening to EWTN, I'm not Roman Catholic, I'm Protestant, but I have been able to spit out my shame, my guilt. I feel like I'm healed now. I've been able to work in a pregnancy center. I pray at our Planned Parenthood. I've visited Hansville. I've been to the memorial for the unborn with my mother. I can't thank the Catholic Church enough.
We're asking folks about marriage.
Marriage makes me think of sports. You know, teamwork, dedication.
Okay, let's see what people say.
Let's say your marriage is a sport. What sport would it be?
Basketball. Surfing.
You have to be a team.
Back and forth.
A lot of people watching.
So how many people are influenced by your marriage?
Hundreds.
You really think about the ripple effect.
It's like a wave.
Want to improve your marriage? For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
Hi, this is Jerry Usher reminding you to listen to Vocation Boom Radio, Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Each week, I bring you dynamic interviews with bishops, priests, vocation directors, even seminarians and those who support them, all in an effort to assist the Holy Spirit in what is truly a vocation boom around the world. That's Vocation Boom Radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, only on EWTN Radio.
That's right. It's now all me all the time on EWTN. Jerry Usher back with you with Debbie Georgiani, 1-800-585-9399. To have you join us. What is your take on how we view celebrities, their influence culturally, politically? Are they role models? Are they given a responsibility by God to be, to act and live their lives in a way that's not going to lead people away from God? We can talk about that with you at 1-800-585-9396. And Debbie, we were talking with Jeannie Ray listening in Portland, Oregon, and this whole notion, Debbie, I'd love to get each of our thoughts here on, I do believe that if a person is placed in the public eye in any way at all, that's a gift from God, because God has given them gifts, say, to act or to sing or to hit a baseball or something. And I really do believe with all of the eyes that are on them, especially, Debbie, young eyes, we have singers, pop singers, who our young kids are always looking at, and they're going to their concerts and they want to emulate them, and they buy their records, or they want to wear this or that athlete's jersey. These kids are glued to them. Somebody tell me that that is not a responsibility that God has given them to not scandalize people and not lead people away.
Well, I wholeheartedly agree, Jerry, and that's why I love this show, Take Two, because we're taking a fresh look, a second look at things. And Jeannie Ray, just a wonderful point in that these celebrities are role models by nature, just by having the limelight, by having the attention all on them. They become role models. Even like you said, Charles Barkley said he's not a role model. Well, he was thrust into the limelight and was super popular. So yes, he is a role model. What I would love to suggest to celebrities, and if any celebrities are including Jeannie Ray, to tell your fellow SAG friends in the performing arts, if celebrities could just realize that their gifts were God-given gifts that were given to them to be used for the glory of God. If even 1/10 of the celebrity status would do that and use it for the glory of God, we would have role models for our to emulate, for our children to look up to and to aspire to be like. We would have good role models, secular role models, which we need. We need all models around our children. It does take everyone to help raise the future of our children. And these celebrities do have a responsibility. And the sooner they realize that, instead of just worrying about their pocketbooks and what they are achieving, I really think we're going to have a much better world. So Jeannie Ray, you offer some great insights and a wonderful second perspective to this whole topic of how we view celebrities. We're going to ask you now that if you have an important story to share, join in and please call in at 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, Jeannie Ray, thanks so much for calling. Thanks for your support of Modern Day Radio, and thanks to David and his entire staff there in the Pacific Northwest for Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Phone number for you is 1-800-585-9396. You can shout out to us at Take Two Show on Twitter. A lot of time to get your takes on the program today about celebrities, how we view them. Are they important? Are they less important than they might think sometimes? Do they have a responsibility to be role models? What's your take on this? 1-800-585-9396. We're going to go to Robert next, who is calling from Birmingham, Alabama, listening on Queen of Heaven Radio. Robert, good day to you. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm enjoying the program. Reason I called, apropos a conversation with one of my brothers just the other day in which I was lamenting there used to be, it seemed to me in the old days, there were far more people who were very public and out with, not out in the sense we all hear it now, but out in the sense of returning to or becoming Roman Catholics and or Christians. And as I look across the fruited plain, exactly what you're saying, we see people like Tom Cruise, who is former Catholic, very proudly, apparently now a member of essentially a wacky cult, and his ex-wife, Katie Holmes, who left Catholicism to be with Cruise. And there are just myriad examples of this across the entire spectrum. And then as I look at what you're describing as the cool daddies, if you will, for young people now, Chris Brown, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, these people are essentially horrors who are embracing and endorsing paganism.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Robert, you have hit several nails right on the head, and I know that Debbie and I can share a lot of comments and thoughts on what you've brought up here. But Debbie and I actually have a mutual friend, Father Darren Merlino, who is a priest. He is the pastor of Sacred Heart Parish, Arizona, and Father Darren and I have known each other for a long time, and Debbie's known him as well. And he spent in ministry actually in the Los Angeles area, and he was developing actually a ministry to a lot of Hollywood stars, and he actually was seeing very encouraging things. And Debbie, you might be able to share more on this, but he was meeting with a lot of the people who are going through the Hollywood machinery, where quite frankly it's easy to get chewed up and spit out, especially to embrace your faith. It hasn't been an easy place to do that for a long time. But Father Darren was saying there were very positive, signs, very encouraging signs coming out of there. But Debbie, as Robert also points out, a lot of Catholics go in the opposite direction. And as I was saying before, I believe a lot of it is they sign on with these people. I call them their handlers, and those who are making money off of them, Debbie, they're not going to make money off of them if they're singing gospel songs. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And here's the other thing, too, that when Robert brought up about Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, and you're absolutely correct, Robert, about now Tom Cruise is with Scientology, and then Katie Holmes has since left Tom Cruise and is back, outside of Scientology. And I don't know if she has returned as a practicing Catholic, but I know that she is out of Scientology. And so we have to pray for people. I really believe we have to pray for these celebrities, because like Jerry, like you were saying, the handlers are just, maneuvering them and manipulating them, and they're going down a path that we have to surround these people with prayer to try and come back to an awareness of what really life is all about. God is in our lives. And I do agree, Jerry, when you were talking about Father Darren Merlino, there are so many celebrities, Catholic celebrities. When we were trying to get Catholic radio started in in Los Angeles. And there are a lot of celebrities that don't want to really come forth because it could ruin their career. But deep in their heart, they do have a strong faith. And we have to also pray that they have the courage, that they can step out. And we have to be there ready and willing to accept them and to support them so that they don't lose their careers in Hollywood because they've now put on their faith. And so there's so many, prayer is so important at this point. And we do have to believe in the power of prayer. And I think that's what's going to be one of my takeaways today, Jerry. I'll give you a little hint because, we do need to pray for our celebrities.
Robert, anything else?
Well, you did ring a little bell here. He probably doesn't qualify as a celebrity, but there is a little bit of good news, as you pointed out. And I did read a piece the other day in the New York Times, no less, about the Opus Dei priest, pretty well known, Father McCloskey, and his great work in bringing over people like Larry Kudlow, a.k.a. Lawrence Kudlow from CNBC fame, and a couple of other noted conversions apparently happened because of the influence of Father McCloskey from Judaism, paganism, into Roman Catholicism. So while Lawrence Kudlow probably doesn't qualify as a youthful role model, notwithstanding, he is pretty well known, and that is one little piece of positive thought.
Absolutely, Robert. And there is a book. I'm looking for the title of it right now. It escapes me, but Father McCloskey has put together, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a collection of those stories. You're right. He is, I think he's still based in Washington, D.C., and he has been very, very influential in bringing a lot of very high-profile, you said politicians and other movers and shakers into the Catholic Church. So, yeah, some very, very good. And I love what Debbie said. Prayer is really going to be the key. So, Robert, thank you for your call to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Phone number 1-800-585-9396. Debbie and I are sharing our takes on how we view celebrities. But what's yours? You are the one who drives this program here. 1-800-585-9396. Our email address, take2 @EWTN.com. And Debbie and I both wanted to mention, we'll get back to your calls in a moment. We had a caller, Debbie, yesterday by the name of Emily, a young college student. I believe it was in New Hampshire. And after the show, you and I thought of some other things that we could share with her. So I know you wanted to extend an invitation to Emily if she's listening today. God, maybe call back in and we can share some stuff with her off the air.
In Emily, if you're listening, or contact us or email us, we'd love to share some stories with you. In fact, Emily, your story is very similar to my college experience, so I just wanted to share some insights and be a good role model for you. So Emily, if you're listening, call back or get in contact with us.
Willie, don't go away. You are absolutely first after the break. You've been holding patiently. We appreciate that. We have David in Buffalo and Ann in Rochester as well. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie continues on EWTN in just a couple of minutes. Tomorrow on this program, we're going to talk about guilt and how to overcome it. We're not going to stop on guilt. We're going to find out how we move beyond guilt in our lives. So be sure you're with us for Take Two with Jerry and Debbie tomorrow.
A lot of people have fallen into the lie that our church's teaching on sexual etiquette is somehow hateful. But what is love? Love is willing what's good for someone else. It isn't good for children to tell them they might be one of over 50 genders. It's confusing. It isn't accepting to tell people to identify who they are with their attractions. It's demeaning. It isn't good for our bodies to engage in some of the things the secular gay community encourages. It's unhealthy. It isn't good for children or society to make mom and dad irrelevant words. It's tragic. It isn't good for our souls to act outside of the etched into the nature of our procreating bodies. It's sin. Countless men and women with same-sex attraction are finding health, life, and the love we were made for in the Catholic Church. Now, you might disagree with how we care for them, but don't call it hate, because love isn't hate. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Jerry Usher with Debbie Georgianni here with Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Love to hear from you with your takes on our topic today. How do we view celebrities and their influence, not just in the entertainment or sports worlds, but we're seeing it more and more in the culture at large and ideological shifts, and even in the realm of politics as well. So whatever your take is on that topic, you're free to join us, and we'll get you on the air at 1-800-585-9396. Next up, Willie is in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Willie, thank you so much for calling. How are you today?
Good, and you?
We're doing well, thanks.
My thing with the whole situation is I have a 16 and an 11-year-old daughters, and they both want to be like, every time they see somebody on TV, they want to be like that person. You switch the channel and they want to be like the other person. Or they watch a movie, I want to do that. And I always tell them, and I have tried, bring them back to church and the whole family, and teach them that if you're going to follow somebody, you should follow God, follow Jesus. But it's kind of like hard when you have a 16-year-old girl who is in school, and everybody wants to listen to Rihanna, who is a bad influence for all of them, to Beyonce, another crazy one, if you want to call it. And I don't want to put anybody down, because my side job is DJ. So I all that kind of music if I want to keep my business. But I always try to bring home everything that has to be clean lyrics. If you want to listen to somebody, you can listen to it, but you have to go with the clean lyrics. I don't accept with the swearing and everything like that. If you cannot get somebody the clean lyrics, you're not listening to it. But then also, it's kind of hard to talk to them and tell them, hey, you have this, you have that. Hello?
Well, Willie, you bring up some really good points. I just want to share with you real quickly. I taught junior high and high school religious education for many, many years, and worked with teens exactly your daughter's ages. And I will share with you, it's difficult for parents to try and compete with the Rihannas and Beyoncés and all the cool celebrities out there that our teens want to look like and act like and have the popularity of. And the only thing that I would constantly instill teens when I was with them in religious education, Willie, and maybe this could help you as well at home, is that your daughters need to develop their own coolness, if you will. It's got to be about them. It has to start with them, and it has to come out from them, not from them watching somebody else and trying to imitate somebody else's, cool popularity. So somehow your daughters, whether it be in something that they are good at, if they're good at sports or some music ability, or they have some academic ability, or, they're just in genuine nature, just wonderful, beautiful, God-loving people, they need to develop those characteristics that God has allowed them to be. And the sooner teens realize that it's about them cultivating gifts rather than kind of taking gifts from somebody else, that's when they will come into their own love and beauty of themselves. But they're at a delicate age, Willie. I will tell you, 16 and 11, they're so impressionable, and they are trying to fit in and trying to be popular. So that's tough. I would just say, though, I think you're doing a great job instilling good morals and good virtues, and being a great dad. I think that is so important to your teenage daughters.
And Willie, I had a thought too here. I'm just going to put this to you in the form of a question. You may not be able to answer it right now, but maybe it's something you've pondered before, and I'd love your take, your thoughts on this. You mentioned that you're a DJ for a living, and of course includes playing these songs at, I presume, wedding receptions and things like that. I've done that myself in my own life. I was a DJ early in my career. I don't pondered maybe, and this would be really radical, Willie, but maybe your daughters are looking at that and they're saying, well, if Dad can listen to those lyrics, then, what's wrong with us? And so maybe, I don't know if you've thought about making a change in that area again. Radical departure for you, but is that something that's crossed your mind, that maybe they look at you and by your example they're thinking that it's okay?
Yeah, that's why I always tell them, I'm like, this is part of one of my careers, but then you don't have to follow, you don't have to do this that I do. And not only that, I always remind them, if you're blasting music around the neighborhood and somebody's swearing, they're going to look at you bad, and then you're going to think, it's like, why are they looking at me bad? If you pass with a song, good song, and if people are going to sing along, good. But then don't do stuff that, like I do. And I always tell them, I'm like, remember, what we bring inside of the house, we don't have to listen to it, and we have to keep it. And, the TV, I always watch what they watch. I keep a really close eye when they're in the internet. Because it's, when they're inside of the house, I try to control it. Outside, it's the crazy part that I think it is. But you guys gave me a great advice. Maybe I have to, rethink what I do right now.
Well, there you go. That's why Take Two that's why we're here, to give a second and a fresh look, and maybe a second look at things, so you can explore different avenues. And Willie, if being now a Christian DJ may not be it, just balance out with Christian music at home. I mean, I always say that if things are going to be happening on the outside of the home, you got to balance it on the inside of the home. So Christian music flooding the house with that I think would be great. Well, and we know that Ann has been waiting so patiently in Rochester. Ann, listening on the Station of the Cross. We'd love to get to you next. Hi, Ann.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. I was just calling to add as a mother of a bunch of kids, many of whom are girls, and a couple of mine are in college now. But I remember when they were in high school, they thought that Kardashian show was just the greatest thing, and I would be like, this is garbage, you guys. I don't want you watching this. And I just wanted to give encouragement. I know that now they can see a lot of what I said. I'd say, remember when Kim was, I guess, getting married on the show and all this stuff, and I was just like, you know what? That will not last, because it's not true love. That they're, and as time went on, they were like, you're right. I mean, they can see it, because in the world, it's just a very different view. And if you live it at home, I think they're really going to be able to see it eventually. You live it, you go to Mass, you have the sacraments, you live the faith in your marriage. I think that is my husband's going. I think that's the key. And they start to see it, and I say to them, be a light in the world. You don't want to stick out like a sore thumb, but you want to be in the world, but be a light in the world. And people see you and be like, wow, they're living this life that's different. They seem happier. Their relationships are strong. They have morals. They stick to what and you can do that. It's not impossible. It's not impossible in this world. It isn't. I think God's calling us to be light in the world. And, even among, this awful media that we face, but talk about it a lot. Just talk about it all the time.
Absolutely.
And I always have, and I keep doing it. And you know what? They talk about it with me now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you make some just awesome points, and that's what we kind of hope, that when people, like your children, came to the reality that the Kardashians, it's kind of sad, actually. I don't mean to poke fun at the Kardashians at all, because they definitely have monopolized the reality series. But, when you look at their talents, there's no real talents to the Kardashians. None of them, they don't have any, extraordinary, great, musical abilities or acting abilities or even modeling abilities. And except for the one youngest daughter. And yet she's breaking into the modeling scene and doing quite well. But I think, Udette, the Kardashians, it's all kind of smoke and mirrors. And we bought into it in a big way. And so I just say, congratulations to your daughters and your children for saying, wow, this wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. And we're just got to pray that other kids, as they get older and they mature, they realize that as well.
Thanks, Ann, so much for joining us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. David and the others, apologies. We are just up against the clock. It happens every day here on this and every radio program. We wish we could freeze time once in a while and get to a lot more of your takes, but another opportunity for you to join us tomorrow. And on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on Wednesday, we're going to talk about guilt and how to overcome it. And Debbie, as we look ahead to that program, that is one that I am hoping everybody will listen to and call in and give us their, because I think to one degree or another, we're all dealing and carrying guilt, whether it's truly our own or not.
As soon as you say it, Jerry, I start to feel those pangs of guilt.
You can always go to confession, Debbie.
I know. I love confession. I would live in confession.
What's your takeaway from our conversation with our great listeners today?
Well, I gave you a little hint early on. Definitely prayer. I think we need to pray for our young people that they start to realize that they are so beautiful, given them so many gifts, and that they don't need to imitate any celebrity. They just need to be, like Ann was saying, be that light in the world. And to also pray for our celebrities, that they do realize that they are a role model. They are affecting the culture. They're affecting political views. They're affecting everything in our young people. And so that maybe they need to start realizing that and taking some responsible decisions and courses in their life so that they can be honorable role models. And I just want to say just a shout out to our Holy Father, Pope Francis. I'm just so excited that he has so many likes, 1,600,000 likes on his Facebook, and I hope he gets
almost as many as yours.
I hope he gets to 2 million soon. So everybody like Pope Francis. Okay,
@Pontifex is how you can do that. @Pontifex on Twitter. Yeah, my takeaway, word vigilance comes to mind. Parents especially, but each and every one of us. Mom used to say all the time, believe what she say. Half of what you see and none of what you hear, or something like that. You mentioned it, Debbie. A lot of smoke and mirrors out there in the media, and we just have to be very, very discreet consumers of media, folks. Here on EWTN, though, it's a safe place for you. You can turn it on, turn it up with your family and friends. Our thanks to you for tuning in today. Keep the conversation going. Tweet your takeaways @Take2Show. Website, take2show.com. And if you've got questions on guilt and how to overcome it, you can get a head start on tomorrow's program. Email them, take2@EWTN.com. For today, it's been great to be with you. For Debbie, Georgie, Usher, talk to you tomorrow.
Hey.
Hey.
Great job, guys.
Yeah, that felt a lot better today.
It felt better, huh? Without